right, this is the next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions, continuing our WCW Clash of the Champions review series. This is going to be Clash of the Champions 20. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Let's get into it, man. It's the 20th anniversary of being on TBS,
CBS, yeah.
making
Superstation.
a whole big deal about it. The problem with tonight was they pulled out all the stops as far as the pop and circumstance with all the guests, but the card just wasn't stacked enough to back everybody was there.
The main event was stacked, but that was
about it.
Yeah, it's like they put all their talent in the main event, right?
Yeah, and the WCW title was mid-card match.
I didn't get that.
And they spent more time talking than they did wrestling. And
there was a lot of...
I mean, it was good to see Andre. This would be his last televised appearance.
It was good. It was weird. It was weird, though, seeing him in WCW.
It was also weird seeing Bruno there, but after Bruno made his comments, I mean, I can understand he had a falling out with Vince once he left in the late 80s. So, I mean, if I was him, I'd probably say what I said, too. I'll get into that when they interview him. But, yeah, it was weird to see Andre on there. But, you know, Andre did wrestle on their network for in the 70s. Unfortunately, this was about, I believe, 4 months before he passed.
It was close to his death, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was sad to see him there. He looked like he was in a lot of pain, trying to go get through this. But let's go ahead and get to it. Before it all started, Tony Schiavone and Missy Hyatt interviewed Gordon Solie and, of course, Andre the Giant. Then Ron Simmons and his wife had pulled up, followed by Cowboy Bill Watts, Hank Aaron, Bill Shaw, Jim Barnett, Bob Dew, all the executives came out for this. Bruno Sammartino, which kind of shocked me. Sting on a Harley, classic. So, and then, of course, Teddy Long interviewed Rob Pitts, the city councilman, who told Bill Watts that September 2nd, 1992 would be WCW Day.
Yeah.
I wonder if since then they've kind of gotten rid of that. I'm kind of curious.
Probably.
I would hope so after how many years now? And then, of course, they interviewed Dusty Rhodes. Of course, he's going to be there for this. So the really funny one was listening to Ted Turner. And I remember from the Monday Night Wars documentary, you know, the Braves are doing great in baseball and WCW is back with competing in wrestling. I'm like, oh, God, dude, shut up. just don't say nothing.
Come on, man. If it wasn't for Turner,
wrestling wouldn't have gotten better.
It's true. And because Crockett Promotions was dead.
Yes.
So there wouldn't have been a WCW like going forward if not he saved.
Yeah, and WWE wouldn't have had to, with their back against the wall, pull out all the stops and come up with something that would bring the fans back to them.
Thank you, Vince Russo.
The Monday Night Wars was the best thing that happened to wrestling. Whether you hate the fact that all these guys relocated to WCW, I mean, yeah, it sucked at the time, but you know what? You look back, it needed to happen. So.
Yeah, but then you had guys go over there too. You had the Steve Austins, the Mick Foleys, the Terra Risings, aka Triple H. So, you know,
the Jeff Jarrett's.
Oh Jesus Christ! He went back and forth. He should have just left. And
that guy didn't know where to go.
I don't want to get started on him.
Anyway, before the opening match, Megan Sheenan came out with Johnny B. Bad. She sang the national anthem. It was weird because you see the WCW Saturday Night sign. Over there, and it just didn't look like one of their Clash arenas.
For me, it kind of took me out of it to a degree too.
Yeah, right? It looked like their Saturday Night stage.
Well, that was center stage. That's where they were at.
Take the sign down there. I mean, come on.
I guess it would have probably been too much money to
shut the light off of the sign. Yeah,
I guess maybe. I don't
probably have to release somebody.
Was the filming back to back? Was this live? Do you know offhand if this was live?
It was.
Yeah.
So they probably taped it before or after.
Or something.
The opening match of the night did not disappoint. For the WCW television title, it was Stunning Steve Austin defending the title against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat with Paulie dangerously suspended in the cage. Man, we've seen these before. And this match did not disappoint. This is one of my favorite matches on the card.
The thing is, they always had great matches.
Yes, they did. Steamboat had great matches with everybody. The problem, he just wasn't pushed at this point. But I guess his job at this time was to help the younger talent like Rude and a veteran like Austin and a veteran like Rude to elevate them, even though they never went anywhere. But it would have been nice to see Steamboat get one more title reign. He does eventually get a shot at the title again,
right.
but does not win it. But in this case, on this night, he would not disappoint, and the title did change hands with the Steamboat with a crossbody drop off the top rope, and he got the pin. Now, this was a no disqualification match, so the off the top rope rule is gone, which.
And then there's a vote later on.
Exactly. I was just going to say that there's a vote if you wanted to see it gone, and wait until I give you what the outcome of that was.
The top rope, the over the
stupid.
The top rope, the over the top rope, the whole outside, like.
That's what killed this main event tonight too. The elimination match that also killed it. I'll get to that when we get to
it. That hurt guys like Brian Pillman and those guys.
All the high flyers, yeah.
Yeah, really, it hampered them, like.
Because Watts had turned around in an interview and said, "Well, that just meant you had to do something shady with the referee's back turned." Then you're just telling us that your referees are kind of uneducated and will quickly turn around if a butterfly's flying just so you can do something shady.
Watts was
the rule.
Watts was garbage.
The mats on the outside, I didn't care about. You want to prove?
I didn't like the way it looked. I didn't like the way it looked though. Visually, I just didn't like the way it looked.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the top rope and going over that was garbage. But it eventually goes away. Thank God. So following that match, there was a video package of the tag team wrestlers over the last 20 years, plus a video promotion for Halloween Havoc, which was coming up on October 25th.
I was surprised later on they actually showed the Road Warriors. Now, I know they're part of the history, but considering they were in the WWF at that time, I was actually surprised because WWF wouldn't do that. They erase people.
This is September, so they might still be around and they might not. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because that was after the whole fiasco with the. They were still under contract though. At least Animal was at that time.
This was around the time
already gone AWOL.
They were doing the European tour and kind of missing shows and stuff.
No, remember Hawk had gone AWOL at
and
SummerSlam.
Berserker had to cover for him. John Nord.
Animal wasn't the problem.
Sorry. John Nord had to was AWOL too. So that was a whole fiasco, man, with them. But I mean, either way, they were part of it. So if they're gonna get fined or whatever, so be it. They were part of the 20.
No, it's not about getting fined. I'm talking. It's not about fine. It's not about getting fined. It's about the pettiness. Remember how Vince will erase people. Like if you leave, he won't show you. Like if you're part of history. Like
I never understood that. Like just because you went to another federation, you can't mention what they've achieved in you.
I agree. It's just pettiness.
No, you notice lately they've started mentioning. Because when Gunther fought Miz for the IC title, real quick, they mentioned Chris Jericho.
That's because Vince is not in charge anymore. That's why I don't want to get off on a tangent.
Where's my confetti?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't get the confetti.
I think it's too late. But anyway,
that's fine. So, and then after that, Jesse Ventura interviews Michael Hayes, who was along with Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton. This really took away from the night. There was a lot of talking, a lot of interviews, a lot of video packages, not enough wrestling. If you're celebrating the 20th anniversary and you've got all the execs here, man, I'd be pulling out an A+ card and let's cut the talking and let's get in the ring. But this is what they do. So. The next match on the card was kind of a heels match, but the fans really didn't know who to cheer for. It was Dirty Dick Slater and Greg the Hammer Valentine versus Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton, Larry Zbyszko and Slater in Valentine's corner.
Right, because Zbyszko had gotten thrown out of the Dangerous Alliance,
which is pretty much almost on its last.
It's on its at the end right now. It's at the end.
Yeah, because the next clash. Paul Lee will face Medusa and that ridiculous thing.
Yeah, it's
unfortunately the alliance
because of Havoc. At Havoc, he goes off on Medusa at Halloween Havoc. They get into
and fires her. Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, it just sucked that the alliance had to come to an end.
It was a great faction.
Yes, it was. So, and then of course Michael Hayes in Anderson and Eaton's corner during this match, and of course naturally the ref was distracted by Slater. Zbyszko accidentally hits Valentine with his cast on it that he has on his arm. Eaton drops the Alabama Jam off the top rope on Valentine, and Anderson got the pin. So Anderson and Eaton continue their winning ways, and they beat Slater and Valentine, which I didn't understand this match a whole lot. Putting the two heel tag teams, especially Valentine and Slater together. It was good to see Valentine there. But he in this run he didn't do a whole lot, and then a lot of people don't know he went back to the WWF because he was part of the Survivor Series in '93, one of the masked knights. Unfortunately, that's not saying a lot, I know, but at least he was there. So, and of course, next, Jim Ross interviewed Bruno Sammartino, said that the product he dealt with the last 10 years with the other league was and I quote, a total embarrassment. Well, okay, for people that don't know, when he came back to wrestle and help Vince out, he was in his 50s. In 1987, he had Bruno Sammartino running a full schedule and a feud with Macho Man Randy Savage for the IC title in cage matches, especially at the Boston Garden. Went up to Vince and told him, look, dude, I cannot do this, not at my age. But long story short, they had a falling out, and Sammartino just left.
That's
after his last match in August of '87, when he teamed with Hogan, he was out.
I think it may have something to do with his son, too. I think something about Vince not giving his son a push or something.
A fair share, yeah. Which is right.
Yeah.
But that could be a reason for this whole thing. He was like, I've never been so happy to get back to the wrestling that I've been accustomed to.
Yeah. Hey, man, he's a legend. He's allowed to say what he wants, man.
Exactly. Longest reigning champion of all time. One of the greatest ever, if not the greatest. So yeah. And at 52 years old, I don't understand why he's, you're having him run a full schedule. If that, in fact, is true. Remember, always two parts to a story. So we'll just leave it at that. And, of course, Teddy Long interviewing Bullet Bob Armstrong, whose son was supposed to defend the cruiserweight, the light heavyweight title tonight, excuse me. We'll get to that in a little bit. Then he interviewed Thunderbolt Patterson while Andre the Giant and Gordon Soley were sitting there. Plus, they had satellite comments from Mr. Wrestling 2 from his home in Hawaii. And then, of course, Ted Turner with his infamous comments from CNN. Gotta love it. Then, of course, following all of those interviews, let's keep doing it. Tony interviewed Cowboy Bill Watts in regards to the light heavyweight title. Brad Armstrong had suffered an injury, so therefore he was supposed to defend the title against Flying Brian on this evening. There would be a tournament that would convince Brad Armstrong would be stripped of the title. And I didn't understand why they just didn't maybe just awarded it to Brian Pillman. It's been done before.
That's terrible.
Well, you referring to Dean Douglas?
Yeah.
Well, it's unfortunate for Brian Pillman, but I'm sure he'll be in the tournament. Just got to win the whole tournament to get the title back. Now, Jesse Ventura went on to interview Brad Armstrong. And during the interview, Brian Pillman came out, and this pretty much solidifies his heel turn as you see it coming over the last few months. Says the whole thing is a disgrace. Called Armstrong a gutless coward. Armstrong's like, bro, you know me. I would be in that ring if I could. And then Brian Pillman slaps him in the face, and that's pretty much the end game there. So Brian Pillman is pretty much a heel now, if you haven't gotten it. And, of course, after that, they shot a video package of the singles competitors over the last 20 years. And then, for whatever reason, a video package on Ron Simmons. Like, they really need to do that now, considering he's the world heavyweight champion. I mean, if you're going to show the video packages on the 20th anniversary of...
Did they show Flair?
Yeah.
I thought
Flair was in there. They showed a couple of guys I was unfamiliar with, but for the most part...
That's right, they showed Horseman promos. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they showed Dylan and all of them in there.
It was good stuff. Good stuff.
I will say this, despite the fact too many interviews, too many promos, the video packages were done pretty well.
No, they were actually really good. If you want to...
I did like it. Now, the next match on the card, I didn't agree with being the third match of the night, but it is what it is. It's for the WCW title. It's Ron Simmons defending the title against Cactus Jack.
I don't know why they have him in the middle of the card like that. They had made him such they gave him such a push, right? And it was a big deal when he got the title.
Yeah.
When he finally got the title, because it took a little while.
Yeah.
Why would he be in? I don't know. Man.
At least if you're not the undercard to the elimination match or not the main event, why are you the third match?
Should be the main event. Man.
Even on the pay-per-view, remember he didn't have a main event match, and I don't know if it's because of the feud they put him in. That's on them if that's the case. I mean, you put him in a feud with Cactus Jack. If I don't understand why. The whole thing just doesn't make any sense to me. You built this guy up so much, right, and he's the third match on your card. And we've always said your title should be the main event no matter what the card is.
Unless it's Hogan versus The Rock, and that should have been the main event. That's another story for another
exactly. That's the exception.
Right.
Not Hogan and Sid. The hell with that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Exactly. So, I mean, and this feud between Simmons and Cactus Jack was pretty good.
No, it was.
They probably don't see Cactus as a main event type of guy.
No.
And again, it's putting him in there with Ron Simmons should have elevated him because this feud was done really well, especially the aftermath of this. And of course, Ron Simmons hitting a spine buster on Cactus, followed by a power slam with a pin, and he's beaten Cactus Jack. But that's not going to be the end of this. So we'll get to that in a minute. Following that match, they showed, and I got mad at this, the post-match celebration for Masahiro Chono at the G1 Climax when he defeated Ravishing Rick Rude. And they showed the ending of the match, yes.
Damn it.
The finals of the NWA tournament.
So they had resurrected, for those that don't know, they resurrected the NWA title. Flair had already shipped it back, a year prior, however long that it was.
Yeah.
He had already shipped it back, but now they're bringing it back, and they had the tournament, and Rude loses in the finals. Yeah, this guy has bad luck in Japan, man.
Yeah, seriously. Ultimate coming up later on, but yeah, this night was
that close. It was that close to being an NWA champion. And the thing is, and he cuts a promo later on, and they mentioned the rematch, and the rematch is at Halloween Havoc for the NWA title, and he wins. Rude wins, but by disqualification, never gets and it was a cluster. We reviewed this. Such a cluster at the end of the match. The inside ref, the outside ref, and
I never understood that.
Over the top rope, and he wins by DQ, and he never gets the NWA title. I don't care. He's a former WCW/NWA champion.
When he finally gets it, that's when they renamed it.
They renamed it
to the International.
Yes,
which is not considered the heavyweight championship,
right. Even though it's the big gold belt.
Exactly.
And when they unified the belt, they used the big gold belt. They didn't use the WCW heavyweight championship.
No, that got put in the closet.
Right.
It's bull. He's a world heavyweight champion. You know it. I know it. Everybody out there knows it.
You gotta start the position, man.
I mean, come on.
You gotta start the position. They gotta retroactively change that, man. They just,
I know it's not going to matter anything now, but it will go into the record books showing that Ravishing Rick Rude was a world heavyweight champion. Yeah. Not
international. No,
you're getting caught up in this political garbage. Oh, I won it. Yeah, but the funny thing is, you won it just as you got the 3 count. We kind of changed the name right before you won the match. Okay,
because the NWA didn't want him. That's a hold. We have to do a video on that. The NWA didn't want him.
Well, we covered it in his
Yeah,
video.
we mentioned it. We did mention it. The NWA didn't want him. The board of directors, it was an actual board of directors of the NWA, which at that point the NWA was nothing. All right, I don't want to. I'll be here forever. We'll be here forever. So anyway.
But Rude gives his comments. He's going to get his rematch, like you said. Unfortunately, he wins by disqualification with that whole double ref nonsense. And, of course, Jim Ross interviewed Cactus Jack. Cactus had announced that Butch Reed would be Barbarian's partner tonight. Instead of Dan Spivey, told Dan stay home because the next match on the card is Barry Windham and Dustin Rhodes versus Butch Reed and the Barbarian, which was a pretty good match. Most people would look at this and go, ugh. Because they also gave Barbarian a chance. He got a world title shot as well, something he never got in WWE. I thought he handled himself really well in the feud with Ron Simmons. This was all well done, but just what's the word I'm looking for? It just didn't fall apart, but either the fans didn't get behind it or finally exactly. Thank you. Fell flat. And then eventually they're just going to pull the title off. Yeah. Never again giving him a chance to get it back. It's like he wasn't even considered a number 1 contender after he lost it. It doesn't make any sense to me. So, and of course, during the match, Cactus Jack joined the commentary team, which was hysterical, especially when he's laughing. That psychotic. But man, Cactus was definitely before his time doing all that stuff, man. He was awesome. But, during the match, Barbarian hits a big boot on Wyndham, and they get the victory there. So Butch Reed and Barbarian get the victory. What I was looking forward to is if they would have done it in a pay-per-view, Ron Simmons. Now, they did do it one-on-one when they broke Doom up, but Ron Simmons defending that title against Butch Reed on a pay-per-view.
Yeah,
I mean, they did the whole when they split up, they fought each other, but that was it. Then it was done. They didn't do anything.
But as if Butch Reed, that point.
He's past his prime now. I'll give it that. But just one more time, seeing these two big behemoths get back in there would have been good.
No, Beefcake got a title shot at Starrcade versus Hogan. So if he could get a title shot,
if the Butcher can get a title shot, anybody can. Yeah. Hacksaw Jim Duggan can get one.
Oh Jesus.
Well, just a quick thing. A lot of guys, when the Giant wins the title back on Nitro through '96, a lot of guys that don't normally get a title shot will be getting it. That's not saying much.
He was a fighting champion like Bret Hart.
Yeah, I'm just unfortunate the fighting champion, 300 pounds bigger than the guy he's facing. So, but guys like Duggan and then got title shots. So, yeah, exactly. Like you said, like Bret gave it to Martel, Virgil, all those guys that wouldn't normally.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about that in the Royal Rumble 90, what was it, 93.
93, yes, because they do make mention to it.
Yeah.
So, following that, Jim Ross interviewed Cactus Jack, Barbarian, and Butch Reed about their plans going forward against Ron Simmons. And then a video package of what now led up to the main event. And our main event of the night, and it was an elimination match, kind of like a Survivor Series match.
It was. That's what it was. That's what I was thinking.
It is.
I was like, this is a Survivor Series match. This is cool, man. Like
it was. Everybody that was in this, I was hyped. But some of the outcomes of how they got eliminated was crap.
WCW, man. What do you expect?
I know. And you've got Sting, Nikita Koloff, and the Steiner brothers. Any Survivor Series would have been. That's
what I was thinking. I was like, that squad. Man, I put that squad up. I will put that squad up against almost any Survivor Series team. The only team I think that could take them, and I think you know what team I'm going to mention, is the Warriors.
I was just going to say it. Warrior, Legion of Doom, and the Tornado.
Yep, and the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich. That's the only team I think that could give them a run for their money.
I was just thinking that Ultimate Warrior captain against Team Sting, definitely. What a match! What a big! Oh man! But they're facing United States champion Ravishing Rick Rude. Unfortunately, not World Heavyweight Champion Ravishing Rick Rude.
Damn it!
Jake the Snake Roberts. Super Invader, a.k.a. Hercules.
Jake is there for his cup of coffee. Yes.
Yeah, seriously.
You're right. The Super Invader, Hercules Hernandez.
And you can see it in the... Yeah. And I don't understand. Maybe WWE did...
They might have had the name. I'm not sure. No, because I think was he Hercules Hernandez before that? He might have been. Yeah,
when he first started with them, he was Hercules Hernandez.
Yeah. So I don't know.
So, and then, of course, you got Vader rounding out that team.
Yeah, Vader Tom.
And Jake didn't look that bad when he came back.
No, 92. Remember, he had only left the WWF after WrestleMania, right? Right?
Yeah, after that whole wanting to be a Booker fiasco.
Whatever. Road agent, whatever the hell the story is.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not too long after that. This is Jake's cup of coffee there because he's in the feud with Sting. The spin the wheel.
He came out prior to this. Has his clash match here. Does the spin the wheel make the deal match of Halloween Havoc? The coal miner's glove.
Yeah.
The snake bites him, and off into the sunset he goes. We're done with Jake. It's a shame too, because he still looked good in '92.
It was a whole big thing. They wanted to cut his salary. I think it was Watts, if I'm not mistaken. I think Watts is the one that tried to cut his salary, and then they took the snake from him. I think it was Watts that took the snake from him too.
And they weren't paying him a whole lot to begin with when they brought him in.
I think they actually had a pretty good deal initially. And then Watts reneged or something. I forget the whole story. Somebody let me know in the comment section. I don't remember the whole story.
I do remember the whole snake being wanted to be taken away.
He was pissed off. He was like, that's my whole gimmick.
After the snake bit him, he said something to, we're not going to have 1991 and WWF revisited in here. We're not doing it. No, you can't come out with it.
The shame is that, okay, Jake's a little bit older, but his best stuff was in 91. His best stuff was 91 into 92.
Mm-hmm.
So when he showed up here, everyone was expecting a lot from him.
And he didn't have a bad match against Sting at Halloween.
I thought it was fine.
And he was good in this one. It was weird seeing him and Rude
together. That was cool, though. That was actually...
And of course, then Hercules as well.
The WWF guys,
Yeah, and then you got Vader. But the match itself was
Rude. Him and Rude, former
rivals.
Rivals. Yeah.
Over Cheryl Roberts. And, oh, man, classic stuff. First one gone, really, it bothered me because, his size, his strength, and whatnot. Nikita Koloff, first one to go out by Jake Roberts. Roll-up pin. This was after Rude hit Koloff with a knee in the back, and Jake Roberts rolled up. Believe it or not, Jake Roberts was pretty much the only one getting the pins here. Everybody else out in technicality, but he's the only one dominating this match. Rude did not get a pin in this entire thing. So Nikita Koloff is the first one out. Next one out, Super Invader by Sting, a pin after a pretty much like I guess a flying face buster to the mat. It was kind of like it was typical Survivor Series stuff where the easiest move will get you a pin. So we're back down to 3 against 3. The next one out, unfortunately, was Scott Steiner, and he wasn't even the legal man in the ring. He was disqualified for going over the top rope.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And that didn't make any sense. I'm like, but he's not even the legal guy. But he's out.
I guess you can't throw. I guess you can't throw somebody over. No, he jumped off the top rope. I'm sorry. That's what it was. He jumped off, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, he went off the top rope, and unfortunately, because it was also they tried the Doomsday device on Vader, and it really didn't work because Rick Steiner couldn't really hold Scott up. So I was surprised they even tried it. And then of course Rick Steiner got counted out. There was the onslaught outside in that they attacked him, Jake and Rude. So Rick Steiner gets counted out. So it's a 3-on-1 against our boy Sting. Now, of course, Vader got disqualified for going off the top rope. He splashed. He splashed not only Sting but Rude as well.
You just said that. I mean, Vader was just like, "Yeah, the hell with it."
I mean, it didn't really matter. We're still going to win this match. But I'm gonna, my bad, Rude, for hitting
Vader.
you. But
Vader couldn't be controlled. Then later on, they go into the following. What year is it? No, I think it's 94. They go into a feud. It's Vader and I think it's 94, right? Vader and Rude. Yeah, they go into that. Yeah.
Look like one could come out of it here, but if I'm Rude, I'll be like, yo, I don't want no part of you.
Yeah.
So of course Jake carries Rude over to the corner and gets the tag, and then of course he DDTs Sting and gets the pin. That's what I'm saying. Jake's doing all the work here, and Jake
that was the curse.
Rick Rude.
But now you know that Rude, Jake's gonna lose now.
Yes,
that's the curse. You can't beat the guy you're gonna fight right before especially if you're like a heel or something.
Exactly.
If you get over on the guy you're gonna fight prior to the
95% of the time you're gonna lose. So it's a shame they didn't have a show before Halloween Havoc where Sting got the upper hand on Jake. But so Jake Roberts and Rude are the sole survivors, and Jake's got huge momentum going into Halloween Havoc. Unfortunately, we already know that's not going to help him. No. And unfortunately, he's going to be gone. And, I hated to see that because even though Jake left WWE like everybody else in 1992, it was good to see him resurface there. And to immediately start in a program with Sting says a lot, but that's pretty much where it ends. And then to top the night off, they had the tally on the vote for the top rope disqualification rule as well as going over the rope period. 88% of the fans voted get rid of it. And then that ridiculous Halloween Havoc video with Sting and Roberts. I thought I was watching a movie. A B-movie from the 80s, it felt like.
I mean, this is what they do because remember the whole thing with what was it, Beach Blast with the Shockmaster on the whole thing on the beach with Vader and Sid and Sting and then Bulldog is. They used to do these mini movies. It's pretty silly.
Yeah, it was. This one was not.
It wasn't as bad as the White Castle of Fear. That was terrible.
God. Yeah, that was
terrible.
But this one was interesting. And Sting's like, I'm going to come over there and rip your head off. Easy, Sting. But a coal miner's glove match, of all things to get on that wheel, I mean, that was cheesy, man. We should have had something. First blood match or death match, something to make it interesting. Coal miner's glove. Cage match, great. Cage match. But no, we're gonna lead line a coal miner's glove, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, that's why we're not the bookers. So
exactly.
Overall, I still thought this was it was entertaining. This clash wasn't bad. I thought it was fun. The main event was really really good.
It was really really awesome, and again, good title matches. Unfortunately, the light heavyweight title did not get defended. Unfortunately, but 3 great title matches nonetheless. I'm sorry, 2 titles. The third one didn't get defended. And, of course, Ricky Steamboat coming away with the television title was a plus. Okay. And Jake Roberts and Rude, as always. Rude not winning that doggone title, man. They had to show that.
Damn it. All right,
a month after they show it. Why a month after? Because it was August 12th.
I know.
When they had that match.
It's just like, just let it go, just let it go.
Insult to injury, my man. Yeah. Insult to injury.
All right, that's our review. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.